All right, let's dive right in. India's top auditor, the CAG, recently took a very close look at the finances of the state of Bihar. And what they found? Well, it's a hole in the public accounts so massive, it's honestly hard to wrap your head around. We're talking about billions of dollars in public money that have just vanished from the books. No record. So let's unpack this.
So let's just put the main number right out there. 70,877 crore rupees. To put that in perspective for you, that's about $8.5 billion US. And get this is the total amount of government spending in Bihar that, according to the official audit, has zero proof of where it went. None. This is the mystery we're going to dig into.
Okay, so how on earth does a sum that huge just disappear from the records? I mean, how is that even possible? Well, the answer, believe it or not, comes down to one single, really important piece of paper. It's called a utilization certificate.
So what is a utilization certificate, or a UC? Well, think of it like a receipt, but for the government and on a massive scale. It's the official document that a department has to file that says, hey, you gave us money to build that bridge, and look, we actually built the bridge. Here's the proof. It is the key document for proving that taxpayer money was spent on what it was supposed to be spent on. It's absolutely crucial.
And the process for this is supposed to be really straightforward. I mean, it's the law. Step 1, a government department gets money for a project. Step 2, they do the project. Step 3, they have to submit that UC as proof. And there's a deadline. They have 18 months to do it. If they don't, guess what? Their future funding can be cut off. So yeah, this isn't optional. It's a fundamental part of how the whole system is designed to work.
All right, so now we know what a UC is and why it's so important. Let's look at just how big this problem really is. Because what the CAG report shows is that this isn't some new issue that just popped up. Oh no, this is a massive problem that's been growing and growing for years.
We're talking about almost 50,000 missing certificates in total. Now, just look at this timeline. You've got over 14,000 crore unaccounted for from before 2016. That's already a huge number. But then it just keeps piling up. Look at 2019-20, a staggering 17,900 crore just in that period. Every single year, billions more are just thrown onto this mountain of unaccounted for money. It's a crisis that's just been snowballing out of control.
And you know, if you think that's the whole story, it's not. The report points out another separate issue. On top of all those missing UCs, there's an extra 9,205 crore that was withdrawn in advance for various expenses. But the actual bills and receipts to prove what it was spent on, they were never submitted. It's just another massive layer to this whole accountability black hole.
So all of this, it brings us to the million-dollar question. Or, I guess in this case, the $8.5 billion question. When you have this much money going undocumented for this many years, what's really going on? Is this just an unbelievable level of incompetence, or is it something else entirely?
Let's just ask it plainly. With nearly 71,000 crore rupees completely off the books, are we supposed to believe this is just paperwork delays? I mean, is it really possible for a government to be so disorganized that it just forgets to account for billions of dollars year after year for over a decade? Or does it seem more likely that the lack of proof is the whole point? The CAG report certainly leans in one direction. So really, you've got two possible explanations here. On one hand, you have bureaucratic negligence, the idea that this is just a gigantic, epic failure of administration, just really, really bad at filing paperwork. But then you have the implication from the CAG report itself. And you have to remember, for an auditor, the logic is simple. If there's no proof, you can't verify it. And when you can't verify billions of dollars, that screams high risk for misuse, misappropriation, and yes, even corruption.
But you know, it's easy to get lost in these giant numbers and accounting terms. We need to remember what we're actually talking about here. This isn't just a spreadsheet problem. We're talking about real money in one of India's poorest states that was meant for real people. So what happens when money for development just evaporates?
The source material we used for this explainer had a quote that really sums it all up. Only the people are poor, not the system. Just let that sit for a second. That one sentence completely reframes this entire story. Because that's what this is really all about, isn't it? This isn't a story about finance. It's a story about people. That money, that was money for better roads, for new schools, for hospitals and healthcare. And when it disappears without a trace, there's a real cost. The people who are supposed to benefit are the ones who end up paying the ultimate price.
So where do we go from here? We have a shocking report from the country's top auditor.
We have a mind-boggling amount of money missing from the public record. And we have a system that seems to have completely failed in its most basic duty. This brings us to one last question, and it's a big one. Now, one thing the source material pointed out is that huge stories like this often get very little attention in the mainstream media. They just kind of fade away. So, we'll leave you with this to think about. If the media isn't asking the hard questions, who does that responsibility fall to? Does it then fall on us, the public, to demand answers and accountability? It's something to think about. Thanks for joining us.